On a Saturday night in San Antonio, a Daredevil stunt meant to electrify the crowd ended in unthinkable tragedy. Randy Hill, a 49-year-old stunt driver with decades of experience, was killed instantly when a planned mid-air collision during the San Antonio thrill show went disastrously wrong. His partner in the stunt, the legendary Daredevil Spanky Spangler, walked away unharmed, but the miscalculation that cost Hill his life was witnessed not only by thousands of spectators, but also by his wife and young son sitting in the stands. That night in Texas became known for one of the most harrowing and brutal moments in stunt show history. But what exactly happened? Let's talk about it. This is the horrific death of Randy Hill. Randy Hill wasn't a household name like Evel Knievel, but within Daredevil circles he was respected as a fearless performer willing to take on extreme stunts that most would never attempt. He often worked alongside or in the shadow of better known drivers such as Spanky Spangler, a world record holding Daredevil famous for his car jumps and spectacular crashes. Spangler's resume boasted more than 20 world records, and he frequently brought other drivers into his shows to perform tandem acts designed to thrill audiences with their sheer danger. For men like Hill, this was the reality of the profession: high risk, low pay, and a constant pressure to deliver stunts that push the limits of possibility. By the mid-1990s, Hill chose to step back. After years of chasing adrenaline, he retired from stunt driving to focus on his family. He had a wife and a child. For nearly a decade, he stayed away from the spotlight, watching from the sidelines as Spangler and others continued to dominate the Daredevil scene. But in 1993, enticed by the chance to perform once more alongside his old colleague, Hill agreed to come out of retirement for the San Antonio Thrill Show, a 2-day event. It would be his first major performance in 8 years, and tragically, his last. The event was held at the Alamodome, and the stunt plan for that night was as dangerous as it was spectacular. A mid-air head-on collision between two cars launched from ramps on opposite sides of the arena. Each driver, Randy Hill and Spangler, would accelerate to roughly 50 miles per hour before hitting the ramps, sending their cars soaring towards one another mid-flight. The expectation was that the vehicles would strike nose to nose, collapsing on impact in a dramatic but survivable crash thanks to reinforced safety cages and carefully calculated angles. This wasn't a new trick. Hill and Spangler had successfully executed the very same maneuver twice in the Houston Astrodome during the 1980s, cementing their reputation as stuntmen willing to risk everything for a crowd-pleasing spectacle. To the audience, it promised a breathtaking moment of destruction choreographed with mathematical precision. But even in the world of professional stunts, mid-air collisions ranks among the riskiest of feats. Unlike controlled jumps or crashes into stacked cars, a head-on aerial strike left almost no margin for error. Speed, ramp angle, and timing all had to align perfectly. If even one variable slipped, the results would be catastrophic. That night in San Antonio, the calculation was off by just enough to turn a showstopper into a nightmare. That day was November the 15th, 1993, and the San Antonio Thrill Show in the Alamodome was coming towards its end. One of the final scheduled stunts that night was the mid-air collision. As stated before, each driver was meant to accelerate towards a ramp and collide head-on at mid-air. Both Randy Hill and Spangler got into their cars and signalled that they were ready. The two sped up towards the ramps as the crowd watched on in anticipation. What happened next was absolutely shocking, but not in the way it was intended. Tragically, Spangler's car overshot Hill's vehicle, and the roof of Hill's car was sheared off on the impact. Hill was decapitated instantly, and witnesses later described that the force of the collision crushed his head and upper body. Spectators initially mistook the accident for part of the performance. One eyewitness, who was 6 years old at the time, recalled a short, awkward applause before adults realised the gravity of the situation and began ushering children out of the arena. The comment read, "I was with my dad and cousin when it happened. I have vague memories, but I remember a short, awkward applause and the whole arena going quiet. My cousin and I said something like, I thought they were supposed to crash head to head, but the adults knew something was wrong, and started getting us kids out of there quickly. Then the announcer came on saying something went wrong and asked for our prayers after asking us to make our way to the exits. Another spectator said, "The top car hit the bottom car's top, sending the roof flying off. The car's cage was cut in half. We were all hoping that the guy was going to pop out of the car. My kids thought it was just a trick." Sadly, it wasn't just a trick, and what makes this incident even sadder is the fact that Hill's wife and 3-year-old son were in attendance, forced to witness the horrific scene firsthand. Emergency crews arrived immediately, but there was nothing that they could do to save him. They were met with an absolutely horrific scene. The remainder of the show was cancelled, leaving a stunned and grieving audience. A single miscalculation transformed what was meant to be a controlled spectacle into a fatal tragedy. The death of Randy Hill sent shockwaves through the stunt driving community and the fans alike. The tragedy was witnessed firsthand by his family, and it was clear that this stunt traumatised many. Here are some comments that I found of a forum online where people who were there that day discussed the accident. One comment said, "I remember this like yesterday. I remember the actual news footage, which was actually traumatising to watch as a kid. I remember Randy's car rolling to a stop after the roof was cut off, and the people down on the ground running up to his car afterwards and turning their head after they saw his body. They didn't actually show the body, but I think I remember the news people saying that Randy got decapitated." Another comment read, "I was 10 years old when it happened. I was with my dad. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember Randy taking off first, then Spanky, and seeing the top of Randy's car come off, and then landing and his tyres spinning. My dad had a stunned look on his face, and the crowd went silent. It hit me when I saw them take his head in a plastic bag." Gary Becker, president of Pace Motorsports, the organisation behind the show, reflected on the loss, saying, "This is a very, very sad moment. We lost one of our friends tonight." Becker noted that Hill's death was only the second fatality in Pace Motorsports history, which had been going on for 26 years, highlighting how rare but devastating such accidents could be in the industry. And the fact that Hill had come out of retirement for this performance made the loss even more pungent. Spanky Spangler, who survived the accident, was reportedly shaken by the event. Whilst investigations confirmed the cause as a miscalculation during the stunt, the incident sparked renewed discussions about safety protocols in stunt shows. From my research, I don't believe Spangler ever performed this stunt again. Spangler said that his friend Hill's death was the equivalent of losing his right arm. May he rest in peace. As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra step to support the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. Let me know what you thought about this case in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.